is not much better than ours. So
I would say you guys are in a better position than us, if I'm being totally honest.
I think
would agree with you.
Absolutely true.
All right, I guess that's how we'll start this. Welcome everybody to the third official Ball Knower podcast team preview. Today I'm joined by three guests who you cannot see any of at the moment. We got one guy with his camera off, another guy that's just a black screen, another guy's loading. But the loading screen to my right, good lord, I cannot talk. The loading screen to my right, that's Lucas. Down in the bottom left, we've got Thomas, and then down in the bottom right, we've got Trevor. So welcome, guys. Thank you for coming on. And how are you guys doing today?
Oh, I'm not doing too bad. I just got off work, so I'm doing a lot better now than I was about 3 hours ago.
Always good to hear. Love that.
I'm still living off the high of the draft.
Hey, I mean, you got to enjoy something, you know? You got to take the positives where you can. So do you guys want to start with that? You want to start with the draft, talk about kind of what the Lions did there?
Yeah,
of course. We can start there.
All right, go. Whoever wants to take the lead, by all means, it's just an open floor for conversation. There's no structure to this. Just go for it.
Yeah. So personally, at least, I really enjoy what Detroit has done, not just this draft, but the past two drafts under Brad Holmes. There's been a very clear emphasis to me since he's shown up on prioritizing getting athletes, which is something we hadn't seen in the previous regime. You look at, basically every single draft pick they had this year, and their testing numbers across the board are, almost elite to at least above average. Aiden Hutchinson, for all the stuff he got, arm length wise, got heavily scrutinized coming out, I think. Maybe heavily nitpicked. But you look at things that really translate, like his 3-cone, some of like his vertical, other explosive numbers. He's one of the top tier athletes in the draft. Not quite Trayvon Walker level, but he's still, an incredible athlete where it matters.
Yeah, and what? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, thankfully for Hutchinson, he has the sort of polish that Trayvon Walker doesn't have. Like, I liked Hutchinson a lot more as a prospect than Walker. Walker does have.
In my opinion, I had Aiden Hutchinson as the number one prospect. That was just me. I had Walker number 2. But
I had Hutchinson in my top 3. My draft board kind of, like, looking back on it a month later, I already hate it, so I've pretty much thrown it to the side and forgot about it. But I did have Hutchinson as one of my top guys. So I definitely think Detroit lucked out with him falling to number 2. They lucked out with Jacksonville taking Walker, because he's a much more polished product. He's going to step in right away and I think make a bigger impact, and he's easily a franchise cornerstone type player. And that is huge for Detroit to get an edge rusher to be that type of guy. And honestly, as a Bears fan with a team that kind of sucks at tackle right now, I am shitting bricks thinking about playing him twice a year.
Oh, well, absolutely. I think you're right, because like right now the Lions don't really have that franchise, pillar on defense, if you will. Yeah. So I think that he could be the guy. Hopefully Jeff Okudah will be, but he was, kind of supposed to be a couple of years ago. But
right.
I think Hutchinson can definitely be that guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm still very high on Alim. Dan Campbell talks very, very nice about him. So
love Alim.
Love Buttercup.
The athleticism that dude brings to the interior really is actually huge. Like, he's so quick.
I want him to play quarterback so bad. I just want to see one pass. Like Terry Poe did. I want to see that so bad.
I was just getting ready to say he can pull a Don Terry Poe out there. And listen, he better be
They've
good.
Let him go in practice.
Yeah, he better be good if he drove John Pennicini to retirement. If he,
I know, right?
He better be a damn stud if he drove one of the greatest names in NFL history to retirement. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
I felt so off when he retired.
Well, he was dealing with an injury as well, right? Didn't he have like crazy calcium deposits in his shoulders or something weird like that.
It was something like that. I remember.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
The Lions in general, just injury-wise, have been plagued for a while now. But I mean, last year specifically, just rookie Levi Onwuzurike, who I'm still really high on as a 3-10 personally. He didn't get to see the field much because of the injuries he was dealing with. Obviously, Okudah missed most of the year, basically all of it. So we haven't really seen what he's been able to do. Romeo Okwara, who is our best defensive player 2 years ago, that dude, he's coming back off injury. But I think a big deal with a lot of these dudes coming off injury is they happened at the beginning of the year. So like Jeff Okudah, where he got injured, he had that entire season to rehabilitate. I don't think he's ever really gotten a real chance. You look at his rookie year in that Matt Patricia
god-awful defense.
Hellhole.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a team with a worse pass rush in my entire life than those Matt Patricia teams. It was painful for every single cornerback on that team because you're being asked to hold up for 5, 6, 7 seconds in coverage. And
continue.
Yeah, and Okudah a lot of times in that rookie year was left in basically one-on-one coverage. You go back and look at it, and he's going up one-on-one against the other team number one. I saw him go one-on-one against D-Hop. I saw him go one-on-one against Devontae Adams as a rookie. So all the shit that Okudah caught as a rookie, I think is overblown a bit because corner in general is a notoriously hard position for rookies. And he got really thrown into the fire. Now, with Aaron Glenn, who I think every Detroit Lions fan here is enamored with.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. He's the guy.
What he did last year with what he's given was incredibly impressive. And I have full faith in Jeff Okudah having a bounce back year in this third year. Now that he's had a full offseason to actually, work with the team. Because also when, he was coming in, you had the COVID stuff coming in. So he didn't really get the full offseason camp that rookie year.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think Okudah will definitely bounce back. I mean, the only thing that's held him up, like you said, is injuries. And like you were saying, he got his injury. It was like the first half of week 1.
Yep.
So
it was very early.
He's had an extensive amount of time to get healthy and get ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as everything that I've seen on him is he's already been back to working, and he's pretty much ready to go for training camp. So, I have all the faith in the world in the guy. And again, it's a different defense than the one he walked into originally. We thought Trey Flowers was our savior when he was walking the team. And now he's got Oruwariye on the other side at corner, who last year was incredible. I don't care, he certainly gave up some plays, especially, between the 20s. But the moment the ball got into the red zone, that dude was locked down.
He
put
balled.
him in coverage with those long arms that he's got in that size, and he can ball out. So I think you give him a legitimate corner next to him. You give him a really deep defensive line, and not just a deep defensive line, but a versatile defensive line. You can move so many of these guys around on that D line. Aiden Hutchinson, for example, yes, he played a lot of D end at Michigan, but there were plays where they slipped him into defensive tackle. Same with Josh Paschal, who they drafted 2nd round. I think that there's going to be a lot of rotating on the defensive line, keeping dudes fresh this year, and I think it's really going to be a problem for opposing offensive lines. Especially, off the edge, you could have Aiden Hutchinson and Romeo Okwara one play, and then they're subbing out for Charles Harris and Josh Paschal the next play.
Dear God.
And you still have Team McNeil and Levi in the middle.
Right. And that goes back to what we were saying in the beginning. Drafting athletes. They have the ability to move Pascal and Hutchinson on the inside because they have the strength and they have the athleticism to be able to play D tackle.
Absolutely. And Pascal, it sounds like they're actually looking to potentially use him more in the defensive tackle role, which I would generally be for because I don't want to see Michael Brockers playing, personally. Personal opinion. But the least amount of Michael Brockers I see on the field, the better. And I think Josh Pascal has everything it takes to actually hold up on the interior. You look at his PFF grading coming out of college, he was the best run defending edge in the entire class in Kentucky. He can hold up on the interior without getting blown out. I have all the faith in the world of that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Yeah, 100%.
And not only that, going back to the concept of them drafting athletes, a lot of these defensive players as well, I know it's kind of a joke, but like they really do fit the whole Dan Campbell bite your kneecaps off type of vibe.
Yep.
Like Josh
yeah,
Pascal
absolutely.
especially
Top
is
tier.
just such a mean motherfucker. And
Yep.
the like you said, the concept of him and Hutchinson coming off the edge together, or him in the middle with Okwara and Hutchinson coming off the edge together. Again, as a Bears fan, that is a literal fucking nightmare. That is insanity. And Detroit going forward, all these guys are young. On top of that, they have such a young defense with so much potential, and they're going to be coached by somebody like you said. What's his name again? Aaron Glenn. I suck.
Glenn.
I suck
Glenn.
at coordinator names. Okay, Aaron Glenn, who is marginally better than Matt Patricia, coming in here. That he's going to completely revamp the Detroit Lions. Him and Campbell together have completely shifted the culture of Detroit. And the offense, we can get to that in a couple minutes because I don't know how you guys feel about what's going on over there. But the defense,
We'll get to it.
the defense has like top 5 to 10 unit upside as soon as this year. It is absolutely insane with what they've built there. And one name that I really like that you guys didn't bring up is Jerry Jacobs. Jerry Jacobs, before he got hurt last year, really stood out to me. He is the definition of that boy nice. He is the definition of having that motherfucking dog in him. He's a little, like, he was a little raw last year, which, he's a UDFA. You expect that.
Yeah.
But he was so great as a tackler, especially, forcing the ball out of guys' hands, playing really physical with receivers. If you have him next year at full health, because he got, what was it he hurt? Was it his MCL or ACL?
I
believe he tore his ACL.
Yeah, it was something that knocked him out for a long time. So if he can recover from that, you have Amani Arawarie and Jeff Okuda can kind of bounce back. That secondary is going to be insane on top of that front seven that is already nasty. Detroit, I've been as a Bears fan, I got to keep prefacing this. As a Bears fan, I have been a very big Detroit Lions truther this offseason because I have loved every single thing that team has done. And the draft just solidified that. It is, once again, terrifying to think about what the Lions are going to be maybe as soon as this year.
Yep. And speaking on that secondary, one name that still hasn't actually even gotten brought up, one, Tracy Walker at safety, who I think hasn't shown to be maybe a Pro Bowl level player yet, but you also look at the defenses he had to play under, and he was to move positions a lot. They flipped him between free safety and strong safety, been between a few different years where he was kind of learning new roles. But now he has legitimate corners in front of him. He has a legitimate defensive line. The linebackers I do have questions about, but I actually do have faith in some of the guys. And another actually corner that didn't get brought up was Melifonwu.
Big man.
I forgot he got injured too last year.
Yep. Which is why
that's why Jerry Jacobs got in. Yeah.
So in some sort of weird way, all those injuries are sort of a blessing in disguise because you now see all this depth that Detroit actually has, which I don't think any of us really believed the last year. going into the season that, we were struggling to look for even starter level players at some of these positions. Yeah. And now I think that there's real positions of depth on this team where if a guy goes down, I feel confident in Jerry Jacobs stepping up. I feel confident in Melifonwu in year 2 after learning under Aaron Glenn. Safety, they just drafted Kirby Joseph, who I don't think is going to start right away, especially with the addition of Deshaun Elliott. Strong safety, but he has very high potential personally in terms of a playmaker at the safety position. Mm-hmm. Now, linebacker has been a trouble issue for Detroit for a number of years now. We have been looking for a good cornerstone linebacker since what, Levy?
Yeah, Levy was the last one. I can remember that. I felt real confident in.
Yeah, Levy and Tulloch were there at the same time.
Tulloch were good, yeah.
Yeah,
those were the days.
Since then, it's been kind of a rotating door of Jared Davis and Tavai. And last year, Derek Barnes showed.
I have a lot of faith in Barnes.
He didn't get the most run, and there were certainly plays where he wasn't fully aware of what was happening. But the athletic potential he brings and the flash plays that he showed last year on that defense, with again all the injuries that were going on around him, so it wasn't the greatest assembly of talent around him in terms of opening up holes in the running lane and holding up in pass coverage, because I think one of Derek Barnes' best attributes is his blitzing, from the linebacker position. But I think he can, at least halfway through the season, maybe become a starter for us. And an under the radar dude who we drafted, Malcolm Rodriguez.
I've been hearing his name a lot with the coaches.
Yeah. Now, this dude, personally, I love him. He's, 5'10", 5'11" linebacker who flies around the field out of Oklahoma State.
Yep.
Yeah. And I listen to, a number of different football guys, on YouTube and this sort of thing, Brett Coleman being one of the big ones. And he went in on Malcolm Rodriguez a bit during the Lions draft and how by halfway through the year, he really believes this dude could be a starter for us with the intelligence he brings. And when I was looking at the film afterwards, because I was like, who's this 5'10", tiny linebacker? He's kind of a poor man's Nakobe Dean, who everyone really wanted the Lions to take. I remember all the Lions fans wanted Nakobe Dean bad the second round. Mm-hmm. I think we got a pretty comparable dude in Malcolm Rodriguez, who a lot of guys believed would have went higher. Smart NFL dudes, I believe, would have taken him higher than the 6th round. I think we got him in. Right?
Yeah, it was 5 or 6, one of the two.
Yeah, 6th round, because 5th round was James Mitchell.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He is. They have guys that I think we might not know what they are yet, but they're rolling the dice on players that I believe in terms of having a shot to have an impact, more so than some linebacker out of Hawaii. Sorry, Spy.
Damn.
Who can't run.
Don't apologize. We wasted a 2nd round pick on him.
Yeah, he made me hate the game of football.
The worst part was, as a rookie, I actually had faith in him. Where I was watching something, I was like, "Oh, he forced a fumble!" Like, "Oh, look, Tavai's doing things."
Did something.
Yeah, and
he gave a lot of false hope at times.
Dude's a turtle.
That's disrespectful to the turtle.
Damn.
But yeah, linebacker's the biggest position of question on the defense for certain. So it's going to be on those two guys, I think, to really step up and see if they can, take this defense to that top 10 level.
Right.
I mean, you still need linebackers. As devalued as they've become, you still can't get by without having good linebackers.
No,
We're gonna
linebackers.
Oh,
Fred
yeah.
Warner.
Listen. Fuck the concept of position value. If you don't, like you said, if you don't have a linebacker, your defense isn't going to function. I don't care who you are. Like we saw the Chargers last year, right? The Chargers are very notorious nowadays for skipping out on linebackers. What cost them? Their run defense. They could not stop the run for shit. And granted, part of that was Jerry Tillery being Jerry Tillery, but not having linebackers
I
is
just put
not
faith
a
in
good thing
him.
at all. Not
I had
having
so much faith in Tillery coming out.
Oh man,
He has had such great flash plays. It just never translated once he hit the league. And those D tackles couldn't run defend worth a fuck.
Yeah, and then those assholes went out and they got Sebastian Joseph Day and Khalil Mack and like 3 linebackers, and now run defense might be the best part of their defense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a scary defense right there.
Yeah, and then they added J.C. Jackson on top of it too. Jesus Christ, that's going to be a fun episode talking about the Chargers.
At least Trevor.
Chargers are nasty this year.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think they go very far though.
Really?
Interesting.
That's another topic for another day.
Fair enough.
I still think
Fair enough.
There's the Bills, the Chiefs. There's still too many teams
Fair
that take
enough.
over the Chargers.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair.
All right, you guys want to shift this to the offense? Because I feel like this is where it gets a little bit more dicey.
Yeah, we've been
I don't know about y'all, but I'm a golf guy.
Okay, hold on. I want to start this out. Before we sat down to record about an hour ago, I tweeted out asking my followers on Twitter if they had any questions for this episode. And I got one.
Absolutely.
We got one question.
We got one.
This is the least we've gotten for any episode. Every other episode has been like 10 to 15. This one, we got one. And my boy, Steven, who was on the Packers episode, he goes by Taco Spins on Twitter. He said, can Jared Goff be that guy, and how long do you think the Lions will keep him?
All right. Let me handle golf. I've been a golf guy since he got drafted.
I'll let y'all go with this one.
Run with it.
I think there's an ongoing confusion that you need a quarterback that elevates people around you. Every year you see the quarterbacks get paid who elevate the people around them, and then they struggle to get to the big game and win it because they don't have the pieces around them to help them win. I believe if you get enough players around that quarterback that can win and help them win, you can see them go further. And I believe Goff is one of those guys with the players around him. He can win.
I
don't hate that. So, I don't hate it.
So there was a thing, I believe it was on ESPN I saw, and they were ranking, it was quarterbacks that you win with and then quarterbacks you win because of.
This was Dan Orlov's thing, I think.
Yeah. Listen.
Orlovsky.
I just want to, real quick, I don't know how you guys feel about him, but fuck Dan Orlovsky. I know he was your quarterback, but fuck Dan Orlovsky.
I get it. Yeah.
I've always been a guy like Orlovsky as a player, but as an analyst, he's just...
I don't remember him as a player, but as an analyst, that man can't tell his asshole from a hole in the ground.
At this point, he's like the Stephen A. of football.
He wants to be the Stephen A.
He's not smart enough to be Stephen A. He's not smart enough because Stephen A. at least knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
He's more like a second Skip Bayless is more how I'd look at it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But no, I think Goff is a guy you can win with. I don't think he's a quarterback you win because of. But I believe, we saw with the Rams in 2018, a lot of people point to Todd Gurley that year. But Jared Goff
he's a smart quarterback.
He was an all-star. He was conversation with the MVP. If anyone remembers that season, you have to remember the Monday night game, him against Patrick Mahomes, where it was 52 to 58.
Mm-hmm.
Goff had 480 passing yards or whatever it was. It was stupid. So I think the writing's already in the book that if you surround this guy with the weapons, which the Lions kind of have at this point, then he can go and win.
With all due respect, I definitely understand where you're coming from. But you need to remember, Goff was playing in a Sean McVay offense. He was being, I don't want to use the word carried.
Overrating of Sean McVay offense.
Say that again?
Goff did struggle in LA, but you can't put I don't like the Sean McVay offense as much as people do. I've seen people say his offense is the greatest of all time, and I just don't see it.
Well, that's
it's not the greatest of all time, but I would say the second best in football right now, schematically.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
there's still flaws in that offense.
Well, there's going to be flaws in any offense. There's never going to be a perfect offense. But my point with that is, no disrespect to Detroit and whoever is going to be calling plays for them, but they're not Sean McVay. And even if they can, I mean, I'm not saying they can't get Goff to play better than he's been, because you're definitely right about the talent around him. That's going to be key. And Detroit has done a very good job of getting weapons around him. And specifically, their offensive line is very, very underrated, in my opinion. I think it's going to be very good this year.
Oh, yeah.
But
top 3.
I'm not going to go that far, but it's going to be a good offensive line.
It's very good.
You'll see.
Fair enough. Hey, listen, I'm open to being wrong. Like I said, I have a lot of faith in the Lions this year. There's nothing going on with the Bears, so I've got to have somebody to kind of watch out for. And I've got a lot of faith in Detroit right now, just because I want anybody other than Minnesota to make the playoffs this year.
You get to see the ungodly connection of Justin Fields to Velus Jones. So
hey, listen, I like Velus. Velus is
so do I. No, I really do.
Okay.
Having him as your number 2 wide receiver potentially, I'm not a big fan of as a rookie.
I mean, listen again, like Trevor said earlier, that's another topic for another time. But there really wasn't. There really wasn't a way to get around that. They didn't have options. That's my point. Yeah.
You guys had a lot of holes to fill, understandably. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like at the top of the draft, you go BPA. Nothing wrong with that. Wait till you get a receiver in the 3rd round that Fields likes. I don't see a problem with that. You know?
The Kyler Gordon pick was a good pick. I can't hate on him for it. Now, my personal feelings on Jared Goff, I was not the biggest fan when we made the trade initially, and I gave him a lot of shit last year. Now I have to give him credit. He improved through the year. He absolutely got better during the final stretch of the year when Dan Campbell took over play calling. That is true. But you have to remember, the team as a whole improved as the year went on. The running game specifically improved as the year went on. I think one of the biggest games that showed that off was the game against the Cardinals, where we ran the ball all over them with a essentially 3rd string, 4th string back. And I think when Jared Goff has everything go right, yes, he can win. Yeah, when everything is going correct, of course. He has shown the ability to get you to maybe the playoffs, even deep in the playoffs. I don't have faith in Jared Goff the moment things start to go wrong and you need him to do something that he just can't do.
Yeah, his confidence has been shot for a while.
It has.
When he gets going wrong.
Yeah, you look at the first half of last year, he threw maybe, this is going to be hyperbole obviously, but 8 passes more than 5 yards down the field, it felt like. He refused to look down the field, and you saw that later on in the year, even when he would target down the field, it still wasn't, what it was in LA. Now, again, in LA, he had weapons. He had Kupp. He had Robert Woods. He had Brandon Cooks. He had legit weapons.
I think his confidence has been shot ever since McVay talked bad on him when he got traded.
Absolutely.
That definitely was a lot worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like a guy who his confidence affects his play.
Yeah.
But that's a real problem for me if you start getting hit or your team goes on a bad losing streak.
Yeah.
Is Jared Goff the kind of dude that can dig you out of that? I think also one of the biggest things that we saw is, yes, you don't need a super, all-American QB to win, but the last time we saw that happen was Nick Foles take him to a Super Bowl. And that was a lot of weird circumstances wrapped up in
that was a weird
That was divine intervention. Straight up.
Outside of that, look at all the teams that keep repeatedly making these deep playoff runs. Patrick Mahomes is a super team. Yes.
But
okay.
look what happened
Garoppolo-
when it came down to
Our
it with
best ball
Garoppolo
would
this
be,
last year.
Jimmy Garoppolo Niners.
I also am not a big Garoppolo guy, for your information, for that very reason.
Yeah.
I've had arguments with my dad about this one, but
So
look at that game between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, and tell me if you really believe Jared Goff gets put in that game, if he can really keep up with what those two guys are doing, independent of everything else going on in the game, all the other players and how they're playing. If a dude just starts lighting it up like that, can the Lions keep up with Jared Goff? And I don't think they can.
In his defense, I doubt you get in a situation like that in the NFC. Like, other than Rodgers and I don't think Brady's going to be the type of guy where you're going to get into like a 50-0 shootout type thing. Like, he's a great quarterback, but Brady's smart enough to slow the game down and not let it get to that point. And I mean, Rodgers is
situation.
Yeah, Brady would not let it devolve to that point. Whereas Rodgers, I mean, yeah, you'll probably have to do that with him. But outside of those two, Jameis Winston, Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, or I guess Trey Lance now, you're not going to get in that situation against any of those guys. However, I do agree with you. The fact that I'm already forgetting names. Trevor, right? Big Alim fan over here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Trevor, as he said, talking about not needing these big flashy quarterbacks to get deep. And he's not wrong, but you're never going to win a Super Bowl like that. Kind of like Thomas said, it's just not going to happen. And for the same reasons you said, but I do think in the Allen Mahomes thing is kind of a weird comparison is where I'm trying to get with this. Like, I don't think Goff he's clutch enough to make the big plays. If you're in like a 20-24 game or something, you need to get down the field, he's going to fuck it up. But I don't think you have to worry about him getting in some big shootout or anything like that.
See, my thing with Goff is I want him to be our guy until we're in the playoffs, we're a consistent playoff team, and then you make the move for the big quarterback.
That's fair.
Because if you get stuck paying a quarterback, then you can't get the pieces around him.
That's fair. You guys also have
the Bears with Fields. Fields is struggling when he has no one.
Right.
I'm also a big fan of next draft. Just use our draft picks, trade up, and get Bryce Young.
I was just getting ready to say that. You guys are in a prime position to try that.
If Bryce Young's my quarterback, I might cry. I'm an Auburn fan. I don't think I can put myself through that.
Oh, my. CJ Stroud.
Yeah, go get CJ.
I understand the thought behind, obviously there's next year's QB class is hyped up as being better than this past year's, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But shit like that changes every single year.
True.
Spencer Rattler was going to be the number one pick.
See, but in all fairness, we've
Sam
seen
Howell
a lot
was going to be
more.
a top first round pick. Like, dudes fall off all the time. And other dudes rise. I just don't think banking on, next year's class is going to be better. You don't know that.
Yeah,
right. No, I'm not saying bank on it. I'm just saying
if the opportunity presents itself, why not strike?
Right. We have 2 first-round picks next year.
Yeah.
If there's a guy, you make a move.
Right.
If we're a playoff team. If we're 7-8 wins, I don't like the idea of going quarterback.
What if you're 7-8 wins in the playoffs? Which is very likely in the NFC. Yeah.
In the NFC, sure. Oof. Well, part of it is also where else specifically this season for the Lions could you particularly upgrade in terms of wide receiver? You could still maybe use some work. Depends how good Jamison Williams ends up being.
You see, Hutchinson, he's apparently he might leave next year if he doesn't get a proper payment.
Yeah. Well, and this year's big for him because last year Hawk wasn't really given a fair shot, I don't think.
I felt like we didn't use tight end correctly last year. I feel like there was
a
lot better opportunities with him.
Well, Darren Fells wasn't the best backup either.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But also, I mean, last year, it was real easy for opposing defenses to just be like, oh, Hawk's on the field? okay, everyone focus on Hawk.
Yeah.
And we're going to see if Josh Reynolds can beat us. We're going to see if, Khalif Raymond's going to beat us on a go route. Like,
Yeah.
DJ Chark is one of the biggest signings of the offseason for us. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a huge one.
100%.
Because that dude, I mean, I get it. He's hurt a lot. But I saw him put up numbers in Jacksonville. And I always have a bias for dudes that end up putting up numbers in Jacksonville because no one does that. I loved Allen Robinson when he was leaving because I saw him put up numbers with Blake Bortles as his fucking QB.
And then he put up numbers with Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles and fucking continued
and
it.
he finally got QB.
Yeah.
He finally got real QB this year.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes.
Fuck Allen Robinson. Anyways.
Hey, come on. You can't hate him.
No, I do. I hate him for how he acted about it.
I absolutely hate him for it.
I hate him for how he acted about it. He was very much a baby over everything. But anyways, once again, that's another story for another time.
Another story for another day.
Yeah.
But in terms of the offense,
I'm sorry. Why did we all go quiet? What the fuck
It's
happened?
funny because you felt the need. You felt like you needed to break the silence. You felt you needed to keep going.
Yeah, just keep rolling with the punches.
Oh Lord!
But everywhere else besides Goff on that offense, I mean, the offensive line could be one of the better units in all of the league. In terms of Jonah Jackson was a Pro Bowler last year. Frank Ragnow, when healthy, is
arguably... Yeah, you got to remember, Ragnow was out for most of last year.
Yeah, he was hurt most of last year. But when he's healthy, he was, easily a top 3 center. You have Big V at right guard, which I gave them a lot of shit for getting Big V originally.
Yeah,
and
he's played pretty solid.
He had a rough first year, but last year, he actually played very well. He really did. And then obviously we all know about Sewell, who is, an animal.
Thank God.
Yeah.
The fact that 2 tackles like him and Slater went off,
Oh, Sue, I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about.
Is pretty incredible, personally, because Slater in his own right was an all-pro level dude, but Sewell's an animal. Even when he had some struggles, the highs that he hit last year when he was on, and we moved him around on all.
Yeah, he had to be moved around a lot. That's tough for a rookie, especially when you first come in.
Taylor Decker was out for a while.
Yeah, he was out for 6 weeks, I believe.
Yep. But that unit could end up being a top 5 type unit in the league if they all stay healthy and play the way that they can. Because Decker, I think a lot of people give Decker more shit than he really deserves because we do pay him a good bit of money. But he has been an above average tackle in the league for basically his entire career. I mean, and having a dude that can hold down that left tackle spot, even, if it's, not like a Lane Johnson or, like a Trent Williams type, like just having a Decker, it's the difference between him and having a Borum playing tackle for you. Like and I like Borum coming out, no disrespect, but like, come on. The difference between a bottom tier left tackle and an average left tackle means the world in the NFL.
Joke's on
Especially with
you.
the right-handed quarterback. That's the blind side.
Joke's on you. Borum isn't even starting this year.
What do you mean?
He's not even good enough.
Braxton motherfucking Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Braxton Jones is starting off bad?
He's been getting first team reps all through OTAs.
Okay.
He's apparently completely stolen the show.
God, I feel bad for Fields.
Braxton Jones isn't bad.
I've heard really good things about Jenkins, too. He put on the weight again?
He dropped weight. He slimmed down.
Dropped weight, that's what it was.
He slimmed down, now he's quicker, which fits a lot better with the type of offense they're going to be running.
Yeah. Didn't they have him playing left tackle last year, too?
They tried it, and it failed miserably like we all knew it would. Because Ryan Pace does not understand that tackles are not interchangeable.
No.
Ryan
Most
Pace,
of them.
he was one of those guys that thought if you play on the offensive line, you can play all 5 positions. Because he had Kyle, back when Kyle Long was like beat up and on his last legs, he had him playing left tackle and right tackle and center, and he's had Cody Whitehair play 4 different positions. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. And now Poles is coming, he's like, okay, you're the right tackle. That is you. That is what you were drafted as. That is what you were best as. You are going to do this now. And it's like, no shit, you know. But yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. The Bears' offensive line is going to be fucking abysmal. But
I love Jenkins coming out too. I wanted the Lions actually to get Jenkins to fill out that right tackle position that year, because I thought that they could have pulled off something where, you know, they got a defender at the first pick and then went right tackle later. But I'm not going to complain about getting Sewell. Right. Absolutely not.
Yeah, so was a dog.
Absolutely.
But, you have offensive line. The tight end, Hawk, is obviously, you know, one of the better tight ends in football when healthy, and, you know, he has a competent offense around him. James Mitchell, who they drafted in the 5th round, I think might actually get number 2 reps at tight end for them. And
it's either him or Griffin, right?
Him or
they just signed Bunches too.
Bunches.
Yeah, they have a bunch.
I forgot about Bunches.
Yeah,
I hope he does something.
Well, they moved him to tight end.
They're moving him back to tight end. Yeah.
Anything? He was pretty good at tight end at Michigan, right?
Michigan. Yeah.
Oh, he's the Michigan guy. I didn't know that.
Panthers made him play receiver because they had nothing there.
I know. And he actually had not a terrible year that first year playing wideout, but dude, that big playing wideout is
he's too big.
Yeah. Hopefully he can figure it out. I like Funches.
Mm-hmm. The only other part that worries me is, you know, until Jamison Williams shows up, who's gonna step up at wide receiver next to Amon-Ra and Chark?
Well, people forget Cephas. He played pretty darn well before he got hurt. I mean, he was our only guy out there for the first few weeks, and he was still producing.
Cephas is up there. He
is. Part of the things that worry me, too, is just the injury history that follows Cephas and Chark.
Yeah.
Chark historically hasn't been able to stay healthy, and Cephas missed a lot of last year, you know, with injuries. Yeah. They could be looking at relying on Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond as that number 2 outside wide receiver. And
don't forget Trendy Benson. We traded a whole pick for him.
Don't even.
Traded a whole pick for him.
I'll point this out, though. We were talking about Jared Goff's confidence and that his confidence affects his play. Josh Reynolds is someone that he feels very comfortable with. They have a very good connection. So if Josh Reynolds is that
when Josh Reynolds showed up
in, that wouldn't be the worst case scenario, I don't think.
I remember when Josh Reynolds first came in, Goff started playing a lot better.
Yep.
Felt a lot more confident.
I think that also coincided with the Campbell moving to calling play call. That time. So I think it's a little bit more difficult to say precisely what it was, but without a doubt, Goff was targeting Josh Reynolds, you know, more than
anyone else.
Yeah, more than a lot of the other dudes on the team, you know, outside of Deandre Swift, which we threw the ball to 9 times a game, it felt like.
Yeah, that was up for me in the PPR league.
Oh, God, not the fantasy football bullshit.
Swift worries me injury-wise, too. But
I do feel confident in Jamal Williams. I feel like he's a good, reliable guy if something happens to Swift.
And the reality is, if your offensive line is good enough, you can get away with subpar running backs a lot.
Yeah, you see Craig Reynolds. He ran all over the Cardinals when our offensive line played well.
Yeah, but with a healthy DeAndre Swift in this offensive line, the Lions could legitimately be one of the better running teams in the NFL.
And I feel that's where Goff thrives, is when he got a run game.
Especially if Goff, you know, puts some fear in the defense of taking, you know, makes the defense have to back up.
Sorry. He can get there, but it's going to take a few weeks of starting slow and then slowly working his way up. He's not going to come out week one slinging it.
Detroit.
That's going to have to be a process with
being able to have Jameson Williams just fly by everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to definitely help.
And honestly, until Williams comes back, which I don't know when he's on track to play offhand, I don't know if he's supposed to be back week 1 or not.
Week 6 is what I believe. If he doesn't start the season, it's going to be week 6.
Okay. Those first few weeks, we could legitimately see Detroit trot out like a 1985 offense, and I think that would be the most beautiful thing in the world.
3 yards now.
Yep.
How do you know Bears bringing up 1985?
I just pulled a random year. That wasn't intentional, I promise. I just mean like the old school ground and pound, rely heavy on the defense, kind of let the quarterback. Just there as
we did that last year.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
and we had low scoring games.
Mm-hmm. It wouldn't shock me to see Detroit come out like that this year. And if they do that, legitimately speaking, they can win football games. Their defense, assuming it can come out right away, maybe there's a little bit of rust that you have to knock off. But within those first couple weeks, if they can get it sorted, they can win football games like this. They are a team that can legitimately win football games like that and sustainably. Yeah. And then you add Jameson Williams in, 6 weeks into the season, you add another dimension to that offense. Like I keep saying, Detroit can be a scary football team next year if they do everything right. Which sounds like something you would say for every team, but you know what I mean. You get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Right.
It's different with Detroit because you always hear the same old lines. So we have to see it until we finally believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I've been hearing forever now that this year might be.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
He's done. He's cooked. He is unfortunately cooked. Here, hold on.
He was our main speaker, too.
There is something that feels different.
Okay, he's back. He's back.
All right.
Can you hear us?
Like 30 seconds because we cannot hear
you were
You're cutting out every couple seconds.
Yeah.
Hold up. Can you actually hear me?
You're good now.
Better.
You're good now.
Uh-oh. Internet's fucking up.
Well, while we wait for him to get everything figured out, while we wait for him to kind of settle everything, is there anything at all with the Lions you two want to talk about? Anything at all?
I'm going to check my notes real quick.
All right, go for it.
Let me see what I got.
Look at y'all having notes. I'm proud of you. This is the one team I didn't bring notes for so far. I forgot to write down notes.
To make sure I was prepared.
What about the culture? How far the culture can carry us while we're
Go for it. That's fantastic. I would love to talk about Dan Campbell.
Oh, there he goes.
All right.
Oh, no.
Well, in the meantime,
let's
talk about the culture. Go for it.
So, you see, last year, we only had, 3 wins and a tie, but we were in every single game because of this culture. We may not be one of the better teams when it comes to talent. You see Goff, everyone's questioning Goff. How far can receivers carry us? If we can have his culture just carry us to 1 or 2 extra wins above what's expected, I really think we can be borderline playoffs or in the playoffs.
I think you're right because I mean, it's a very basic all the way back to when you're 5 years old playing whatever sport. And your coach is, in a close game, your coach tells you who wants it more. This is, dig down deep. Who wants it? This is where it's just, mano y mano. Whoever wants it more. Who's got the dog in them? And I think that, Dan Campbell's team and the culture that he's brought, if a game ever gets down like that, there might be 1, 2, 3 during the season, but I think they might have the edge on that just because of the culture and how they play.
Yeah, I think Dan Campbell has really, at least to me, has shown us the true importance of a player's coach. Because, we're used to guys like Bill Belichick who are just kind of hard asses, do your job, get it done, and it works because it's Bill Belichick. But Dan Campbell is the type of guy that's going to give his players 250% every single day, and because of that, they give him 150% back. And when you're playing football like that, like you kind of said, when you have guys that aren't quite as talented, they're always going to exceed what they're capable of. Because when you have someone that believes in you, someone that's pushing you, you're always capable of more. And if the Lions get in a bunch of close games, just like you said, I'm kind of stealing your points, but if, to elaborate on them, but if they get in a bunch of close games, they are going to win more than they're going to lose. It's kind of like they're the reverse of the Vikings, where Kirk Cousins, he's going to fall apart every single time. They're never going to get shit done. But the Lions, despite, maybe not having a bunch of faith in Jared Goff, everyone else is going to step up. Goff will step up too, but you get what I mean. Detroit.
He had those games last year where he did step up, and then we lost in an unfortunate way, like a game-winning field goal or a last-second touchdown.
Well, now your defense is a lot better, especially back in the secondary if everybody can be healthy. So stuff like that hopefully won't happen as often.
And too,
hopefully, I don't know.
In the league right now, it's big to have a team full of players that want to play for the team. Mm-hmm. Like, how many different teams have at least one or two players that are unhappy with their contract situation?
Yeah, you see more now,
not showing up to OTAs or something like that. Yeah, it happens every week. You hear a guy's not showing up to practice.
Yeah, I haven't heard a word of that from Detroit, and it's no coincidence whatsoever. I think
absolutely.
I've gotten shit for it before, but I think Dan Campbell's a top 7 to 10 coach in the NFL just based off that.
If he can prove how well he is at calling plays like he showed towards the end of last season, there will be discussions of him being a top 5, top 10 coach.
Mm-hmm. I think, and he might, if Detroit performs the way that they could, he's gonna be in the Coach of the Year candidate. Like, he's gonna be in that conversation. If Detroit is fighting for a playoff spot, he could end up being that type of guy where he wins the Coach of the Year.
Yeah, it's like we saw with...
That's how they always do Coach. It's just, where do you improve from? That's why you don't see a guy like Belichick win it every year. It's all about where you started and where you end up.
And did Zach Taylor win last year?
Mike Vrabel did.
Coach of the Year last year was Vrabel.
And it's because Vrabel overcame 15, 20 major injuries.
Had 60, 70 injuries, COVID.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah. And they got the 1 seed. And it was because of how well he was able to hold his composure in situations like that. And Dan Campbell, kind of like you said, is in a perfect position to do the same thing. Hopefully not because of injury, but,
God, I hope not.
Knock on wood, hopefully not. All right, I got a question for you guys. Unless you want to keep talking about Dan Campbell, which I'm all for. I love this man.
Shoot.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys follow me on TikTok or see my tweets or anything, but I am a big supporter of fullbacks. I've been described
I saw you TikTok.
I've been described as a fullback fiend, is what my followers started calling me. So, that was my question. How do you guys feel about Cabinda? Let's talk about Cabinda.
I love Cabinda.
The superback, we call him.
The superback?
I mean, there's a reason he's the ninth leading tackler in Penn State history. He's a dude's dude.
Last season, when I believe it was when Campbell started taking over plays, they wanted to try and move Cabinda around to catching some balls and possibly lining up different places. So they called him the superback.
That's interesting. Yeah. There's a kid I was a big fan of at Northern Illinois last year named Clint Radkovich, and he was called the superback.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I thought he was the only one. Okay, yeah, he's mostly used on special teams for you guys, right? That's kind of his primary role.
Yeah, he's a former linebacker.
Right.
He fits well in special teams role.
Yeah. But
I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about the fullback position generally.
I'm
not watching fullbacks.
I've been a fullback guy for a while.
Yeah,
they certainly have a place.
Love me a good fullback.
But I'm not going to, sit here and pretend I've watched Jason Cabinda,
fair.
And how he plays fullback position. But I do think I was a bit surprised because there were a number of dudes in this past draft where they were hyped as being, legit fullback prospects. Clint, as you brought up, was one. The kid out of Purdue was
Xander Horvath. Love Xander.
Yep. There were... and even Hayward for Detroit was getting some hype in terms of being, one of the starting fullbacks in the league. I was a little bit surprised that even, in 7th round or whatever it might have been, that the Lions might have not taken a shot, just because I haven't seen Cabinda on offense really do much from the fullback position. Now, that very much could be scheme. Absolutely, because
Mhm.
there's plenty of teams in the NFL that don't use fullbacks.
But
on
it's
the
starting to come
offensive
back
side.
around.
It is.
We're getting a renaissance right now. I was talking to.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I remember when Cabinda scored that touchdown against the Cardinals. Pat McAfee, he couldn't pronounce his name to save his life because he had never heard of him before.
Yeah, for the Packers episode, we had Theo Ash on. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
at the very, very end, I asked him, how do you feel about fullbacks? And word for word, he said, and I quote, "A fullback storm is brewing." And that was literally the perfect way to end that episode. It's beautiful, but it's the truth. Fullbacks are starting to get their recognition. They're starting to get their credit. And like I said, I talk about fullbacks all the time, and I see so many Lions fans just coming to bat for Cabinda. Like you said, 9th leading tackler all time at Penn State. They are enamored with him. And I, for the love of God, hope that, oh my God, I just completely blanked. Campbell. I just forgot Dan Campbell's name for a moment. I really hope that Dan Campbell finds a way to work that man into your offense, because that would be absolutely incredible. Whether it's, like I said, you go back to that old school running scheme, he can be a lead blocker for you. If you want to try to use him in the pass game a little bit.
Uses use check.
Exactly.
That'd be kind of fun to see.
I don't know if Cabinda use check, but
it's only one way to find out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There is only one way to find out.
Yes.
But there's
and you can kind of thank Shanahan for the renaissance of fullbacks partially, I think, because look at the coaching tree that came from under him. All those guys are big into using fullbacks. LaFleur, as you know, loves having a fullback on that team.
Even though he doesn't technically use a fullback, he uses Josiah Deguara, who thinks he's a fullback and isn't.
He's a tight,
he's an imposter.
Sure. But
he's an imposter. But yeah, you're not wrong. And there's guys coming from other coaching trees that are kind of adapting that. No, never mind. The guy I was going to say came from LaFleur, so that doesn't work. I was going to say Luke Getsy for Chicago went out and got us a fullback for the first time since 2018. And Miami brought in Alec Ingold from the Raiders because they've got McDaniel. And you got Jakob Johnson going over to the Raiders to go with almost a McDermott. What's it? Fuck.
McDaniel. Is it McDaniels?
Josh McDaniels. Okay, thank you.
Still can't believe they hired that guy.
Yeah. God, I am losing my mind with names right now. This is insane. But yeah, we are getting a legitimate fullback renaissance, and there are still like your traditional ground and pound fullbacks. You've got Jesus Christ, again, Pat Ricard over in Baltimore.
It's like 300 pounds. That dude can run you over.
Former defensive tackle. Yep. Well, I don't know. We went over the offense here. Unfortunately, Thomas is still MIA. He just completely dipped on us. I feel bad for I don't.
Oh, he's still. Oh,
he's been here. He's been talking.
My brother in Christ, you got to speak up. We thought you were dead.
I came back a while ago. I thought was I not speaking?
No,
I heard you.
I didn't hear him.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm a loudmouth.
No.
I'm a loudmouth, so sometimes I don't hear people over myself talking. Thomas, now that we know you're back, is there anything you want to add about Cabinda or anything about fullbacks?
No, I think I got all my fullback talk out in that one.
Fair enough. Let's see here. I want to look at what I got going on here, what I had for my my notes here, things I wanted to hit on. I think we hit on just about everything. Unless there's, like I said, anything you guys want to talk about, anything at all with the Lions.
I don't know.
Well, I'll talk about Jack Fox.
That we kind of went over.
Jack Fox.
Shout out to Jack Fox.
Best punter in football.
Yes, sir.
He can sling the thing, too.
What about
Jack Fox can throw a fake punt? Absolutely.
There was times where he was throwing better than Goff.
Just to wrap up real quick, is there anybody that you're expecting to take a big leap? I know we kind of touched on like Okuda and guys like that.
I got a list. Ali McNeil, Jeff Okuda, Charles Harris, I think can get double-digit sacks this year with Hutchinson and these guys in. There is Vaitai, I think he takes a step towards a top 10 offensive guard. Not there quite yet, but he takes a step forward. And then, God, what's his name? Safety.
Tracy Walker.
Yeah, Walker. I
Thank
think
God I'm not the only one
coverage.
forgetting names today.
I'm gonna put my money on Levi Onwuzurike.
He's another one.
I think with the improved defensive line around him, when he shows up, he's going to be getting a lot of one-on-ones on the interior. And with his skill set coming out of Washington, they had him playing in a 3-front nose tackle most of the time in Washington when he was there. And he was still getting good pass rush from that position. So I think leaving him at the 3 tech and giving him those one-on-ones when you have all these other weapons on the D-line, he could be a legit interior rusher, I think.
Valid.
Yeah.
My guy is Deandre Swift. And I know that he's already one of the I would say one of the better running backs in the league, at least top 16, top half.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
But out of his 2 complete seasons, he hasn't really put together a full good running back season. So I think that this season is really a good season for him to, rush for 11 or 1,200 yards if he gets the chance to.
Yeah.
That's
Other
fair.
guy, Hawkinson. Ben Johnson just became the offensive coordinator. He's a big tight end guy.
Fair
I know
enough.
he loves tight ends. Dan Campbell's a former tight end. I hope he could make a big step forward this season and get rightfully in that top 5 tight end spot.
Respectable. Personally, my guy's Jerry Jacobs. I mentioned him earlier. I absolutely love the guy. Watching him is just fun.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Bias just hit a grand slam. I'm sorry.
Bias hit a grand slam?
You're fine.
Yeah, he just hit a grand slam. Sorry.
Oh, my God. I'm not watching the game. I'm a big Bias guy. Big Tiger.
yeah. Oof.
Y'all are speaking a whole ass other language. I know nothing about baseball. I'm completely lost.
I know too much, sadly.
Tigers were supposed to be our Detroit team that was going to succeed, and that fell apart.
Hey, that's the thing about Detroit. You just keep looking forward in the year to the next sports.
Oh
season.
yeah, can't wait for next.
Why we're talking about the Lions right now.
Yeah, I feel
sorry.
that. I feel that. But like I said, Jerry Jacobs is just one of those guys that has that dog in him. And I feel like he fits the Dan Campbell kind of archetype for mentality perfectly. Young, scrappy, bite your kneecaps off type
Football
of guy.
guy.
Yeah, football guy. Perfect way to put it. He's a true football guy. So if he gets the playing time that I know he's capable of getting, I definitely think he's somebody that can at least put his name out there a little bit more. Because I actually didn't hear about him until I was doing breakout predictions for every position on TikTok, and a bunch of Lions fans and Jerry Jacobs himself found a tweet where I asked for a breakout corner. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very active with the Lions Twitter. He loves to talk
love to
him.
see that. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And we one last question. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but how do you think the season will end up? Where do you guys think the Lions' kind of ceiling versus their floor is?
I can give a ceiling and floor. I don't know if I can get a hard prediction.
Fair enough. Go for it.
I would say ceiling being 12 wins.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lions have the 5th ranked easiest strength of schedule.
Okay.
I don't think
enough.
12
Right
wins
behind the
as a ceiling I don't think 12 wins as a ceiling is way out of the question. I think the floor is probably 5 or 6. I think they have a big gap.
Yeah.
Big
I'm pretty close to that. I'd say 12 is a pretty safe ceiling to go for. Based off playing teams like the Giants and Washington and playing the Bears twice, I could see us as a floor being 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm leaning. I mean, unless if, obviously, with every team, injuries hit real hard, I don't see us losing more than probably 6 games just with that.
All depends on Goff, in my opinion. If Goff can take that step forward, we could be somewhere.
I mean, I could even see them. Yeah, no, 12's probably the max out on wins that I'm willing to go.
We could possibly take 2 from the Packers, depending on how that receiving core goes. If they don't perform, I could see Rodgers struggling and taking a big step back.
I personally have a lot of faith in Christian Watson.
I
with
do
the
as well.
QB Aaron Rodgers. I think that he could
Outside of that, you got what? Alan Lazard, is he even
Sammy
still there?
Watkins, Alan Lazard,
Well, Sammy Watkins will get you a week 1 win, but after that,
Romeo Doubs has apparently been really impressive in training camp. A guy they took in the 4th round.
I liked Romeo Doubs coming out too. Actually, I think that he might be able to take Lazard's spot.
Yeah,
it all depends on how if that receiving core fails to perform where they need it, I could see the Packers struggling and getting 7-8 wins.
Yeah, the issue is their run game's so good, and
but
might have the best defense in football.
Is really a problem.
Their defense. Continue with their defense.
They put so much money towards the defense this offseason too, and paying their guys. They're gonna be hard to deal with. I mean, Kenny Clark at D tackle is just an absolute problem, and you surround him with dudes like, Smith. And they got, Jair Alexander on the back line. Savage?
Yeah, Darnell. I'm a big Darnell Savage guy.
Oh, God. Who the fuck was playing linebacker for them last year?
Campbell.
Rashawn Gary.
Devondre Campbell.
Inside linebacker? Devondre Campbell. He took a big step. He surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
All pro season.
Yeah, he was incredible.
I remember when he got signed, Packers fans were so pissed. And here they are now, they love him.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, I guess that would leave me, and I personally think Detroit, I think they're a playoff team. I'm very confident in saying that.
Yep.
And you were talking about
wild card.
Yeah, you were talking about stealing games from Green Bay. I think you guys have a chance to sweep Minnesota. I don't know why that name didn't come up.
That's not it. We could beat them when we were awful.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you have a legitimate shot to beat sweep Minnesota. So them finishing second in the NFC North behind Green Bay, winning 9 games, going to the playoffs.
I think we could
wouldn't
be
shock
6 or
me at all.
7 seed.
Yeah, that's about where I have them. I think that's a very, very fair evaluation.
Yeah. There's a lot of people saying we're going to be the Bengals of this year, but I just don't see that one. Like making a Super Bowl run.
I don't think we're going to see another Bengals. I don't think that's going to happen.
The Bengals were a unicorn.
That's never going to happen. Or I'm not going to say never going to happen again.
They had to have a lot go their way in those playoffs.
Yeah.
Also, Detroit doesn't have a QB that can make up for having one of the worst offensive lines in football like Joe Burrow did. That dude is magical. That dude is.
Talk about that dog.
The Chiefs fans despise Burrow. They say he can only throw 5 or 6 yards and let Chase run all around the field.
Southern fried savior.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Good. Did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, I was just going to go on about how the Bengals defense was legit last year too. Shout out to Trey Hendrickson. But
absolutely. But other than that, I think that that about wraps it up here, fellas. It was great talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on. We had a great talk about the Detroit Lions, which is something I never thought I'd say in my entire life. But, I think we're all...
having us on.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Great fun time.
If you guys want to plug anything, I know big old AlimGotWheels over here has got a little fan page on Twitter going if you want to plug that or anything like that. And Lucas has TikTok.
I
got a TikTok.
Go for it.
It's just the name I got now, AlimGotWheels.
All right.
Trying to get that to 1,000. I'm only at like 760.
All right. My TikTok is at lucasroach15. So just 15 at the end. I post some funny sports stuff.
Oh, I'm already following you.
Oh, appreciate
that. Small world.
There we go.
How about that?
Small world.
I'll make sure to put links to all your guys' socials in the description below. So if you want to check them out, go right ahead. Whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, there will be links in the description of this. But like I said, thank you guys so much for coming on. It was a great time. And I guess we can all look forward to the Lions this year, which is something else I never thought I'd say.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, of course.
I had a good
Nice
time.
talking to all y'all.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
see you guys in the next team preview.